Welcome back, everyone, to another incredible episode of Chat with Dan here. For today, what can I say? We are having an epic, super badass Tuesday because we're having on the show the incredible, the amazing, the badass, the superstar, the legendary, the one and only Kiara. Kiara, how are you today?
Good. How are you, Dan?
Fantastic. I mean, what better way to have an incredible, super badass Tuesday that you be chatting with someone as badass as you? You know what I mean?
Right.
There you go. I mean, an epic Tuesday already. Let me just say that.
I'm
Um,
excited. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow helps a lot. But also, on the description below, you're gonna find all of Kiara's social media. Let's follow her, and let's discover why she's super badass. Now, without further more, let's jump in. So, I want to start this whole conversation by throwing out the first question, which is, what initially drew you to acting in the first place? Was there a specific moment or performance that solidified your passion for it?
So I was a dancer before I was an actor, and that kind of sort of led me into theater. And it was all play at first. It was all, this is fun, this is games. And then I watched Grease, the musical, on the West End in London. And I was like, they're doing something more than just dancing. I don't know what it is. I want to do it as well. And then I was like, acting can be also a profession. And then I took classes from there.
There you go. Epic start. I like it.
Yeah.
And tell me, what were some of the challenges, when you were recently making your first steps into a pro career?
I think if I speak about the challenges, for me, it was mostly like accent work and making the transition from theater into film. It's like I didn't know what I was doing, and I come from a really small island in Spain. And although I did theater since I'm 9 years old, the training wasn't the best training or the most proper training. I was just doing it as a community theater program. So I think that was it. And then I turned 18 and I didn't even know what a monologue was and stuff like that. And that's like a very important first step. So I had to, I guess, all the bigger knowledge came late for me. So it was like playing catch up, but it was still fun. I still loved it.
There you go. I like it. And now that you mentioned accents, like how many languages do you speak?
I speak 3. I speak German, English, and Spanish.
So we basically speak the same languages, you and I. I like
You
it.
speak Spanish? I like it.
Yeah, I mean I'm from Mexico, so it's my
Oh, nice.
my native language. And German, I lived in Germany for around 2 years. So
That's
I've
go. We can communicate.
we can have like a total conversation, jumping between languages here and there. That would be cool.
Yeah.
I like it. Now, how do you think your portrayal of characters has evolved over the years?
Mm. The depth of it, the work. I think at first I was very much like, oh, you learn the lines and that's it. And you do a bit of background work, and now it's my favorite part. Now the background, the questions, the knowing who the character is, it takes me so much time to do all that work before I even learn lines. So I think the depth of character is what has evolved in my personal career.
Okay. And looking back at your journey, what's one
Mhm.
piece of advice you would give to your younger self when you were starting out?
Don't be so scared. Girl, just, go for it. Failing is part of the process. And in acting, there's really not much failing to be done. It's all trying it out. And if it doesn't work, you try something new. I think I was very hesitant, very nervous to be seen. And I'm like, that's part of the job. So the sooner you get over that fear, the better it will go for you.
Mm, I like it. I
Mm.
like it. Yeah. And yeah, like back when you were starting out, what do you think? My question here is back when you were recently making like your first steps, what is what would be the thing that you instantly saw that your perception on certain things wasn't at all as the real thing, let's say. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like for example,
you
let's
mean
say, y- y- oh,
in acting and like learning
mm-hmm,
it?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, I would say I think the theater that I was used to was very dramatic and very theatrical and big. And then I got to have incredible teachers, and it was all about working from the inside out. And I always thought that the art of acting as a kid, because it's all about the flair and it's all big. So maybe that, in the sense of like, that was a shock for me at first. I was like, oh, I got it all wrong. Like, I need to start from scratch.
Okay, I'll take
I
it.
don't know if
I'll take it. No, it does. It does. Yeah, I mean, at the end, I do think that it's understandable, right? When you are starting out, that certain view of, yeah, like your perspective on some things might change once you are inside of it, especially, in acting on this case, that perhaps your perception on some things were totally different once you were, actually doing it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Hmm. Okay. And as an actor, you often have to inhabit the lives of various characters. So how do you approach stepping into a new role? Do you have like any techniques do you use to make the character to be as authentic as possible?
Mm. It's funny because I used to, when I was studying, I never quite felt that I found my technique. So I was kind of doing my own thing with what teachers also gave me. And then I studied at Stella Adler here in LA, and that changed my whole perspective because it kind of went with what I already did naturally. And it's a lot of background work. It's a lot of creating memories. You're not building from your own past. So it's a lot of fun to do that work. And for me personally, I find everything in the script. And if it's not on the script, you you go to imagination, and then both like intertwine at some point. And then I like physically, I like to get it in me. So I like a lot playing physically, like before I even go to rehearsal at home. I like doing that a lot. With music, music helps me get
Hmm.
into my character. There's like a few things, but the most important for me is script. I reread and reread and reread until there's nothing left.
Yeah,
There's always more left. That's like the funny thing. It's like there's always something else you can find.
I'll take it. And now that that you were mentioning music, what would you say is your top five, not top 10, of favorite songs right now?
Right now, oh, that's hard. I've been listening to a lot of it's a Spanish artist, not Nati Peluso, and she does like Spanish rap. And then I've been listening. Oh, you asked me songs, like specific songs.
Or
I think I need to
artist?
go
Let's go
Spotify
for
too.
both.
And then I think Ray, she's this British singer. She did this new bluesy, jazzy album that I absolutely love. And Metallica right now is also up there for me. And then I've been recently getting into country music actually, which I never thought I'd like before. And I'm like, I like this. Forgot his name though. Colt, something Colt. But yeah, that's kind of
That
my
is
top.
interesting. So we have a mix going on here from rap to rock to country.
There you go. A bit of everything.
I like it. Like it. What would you say is the song that could describe, yeah, that could describe your personality?
Mm. um, I would say the Black Peas song "Where Is the Love."
Okay,
It's a
why?
lot. It's a bit like politic, the song, but I don't know. I'm always about peace and love and everyone being friends. It's kind of,
Hmm,
and I love that song. I could listen to it like on repeat. So yeah.
interesting. So we're talking here. So, just okay. So we're talking about here that, your personality is more is would be based into being honest to it, try to deliver, trying to being honest as possible and at the same time um be on your well, basically take life on love and positivity and things like that.
Hmm.
Things like that would
Yeah,
be.
yeah,
I'll
that's accurate.
I'll take it. I start to find out why you're super badass. I started to figure it out
Okay.
now.
Well,
I like it. And tell me, can you share a particularly memorable or challenging moment from your acting career, and how did it impact you as a performer?
hmm. Um, I think it was I did this particular scene once for school, and I was terrified of doing it. It was a really hard character. The play is called Beauty Queen of Lenan, and my character is basically this elderly woman where her daughter abuses her and like uses oil to burn her. And I basically at the end of the scene, spoiler alert, she dies because she's burnt to death with this oil. I was terrified of doing it. I was like, I don't I don't know how to do this. This is, my first year in at Stella Adler. And again, it's kind of getting over that hurdle of the fear of and just leaping into it. And I learned a lot with the scene, with doing it. Um, the fake it till you make it attitude helped me a lot in it as well because I was like, you know what? Sorry for my language. I was like, fuck it, let's do it. Um, and yeah, and then it sort of clicks. And when I let go of all my BS, then it all worked. And again, it's doing the work as well. Because I was like afraid to do the work because I was afraid of the result of the scene. And yeah, now I realize it's all, if you do the work, there's no fear involved.
Hmm.
Talking a lot about fear today. Like,
There you go. Maybe it's a sign. Why? I
there you
don't
go.
know. And now that you mentioned that, about the whole emotions and everything, we know that acting can be emotionally demanding, right? So how do you maintain a balance between fully immersing yourself in a role and at the same time taking care of your mental and emotional well-being?
Mm. For me, it's very important the technique. I wouldn't, again, I mentioned earlier, I don't prep my characters from my past and personal experiences. It's all created from me. So I think that alleviates the toll it takes on me. But still, all the emotional big scenes are really hard and you're exhausted after like long shooting hours. I like to go home and take a bath, turn off my phone. I don't even watch TV. Maybe I read. I like food. Food is like a comfort thing. But yeah, bath, food, and sleep. That's like the order of it.
So it's BFS.
There you go.
There you go. I
I'm gonna
like
write
it.
that down. Like,
Yeah, 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 take it. BFS. Sounds good to me. And
mm,
tell me, has it ever happened to you that during like a specific role, somehow you got too attached to it? And how was the process for you to get rid of that so you can return to be the real you?
I wouldn't say like attached, but it did happen. I played Masha in The Seagull, and she's a very depressed character. That's like a very simple way to explain her. She's way more than that. But it was a 4 month rehearsal process, and at the end, I just felt like I was inhabiting her into my own life. So I was just like, even the posture of like being sad. So, and I didn't realize until the play was over. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm still being Masha. Um, and I don't know, the detachment process was just more sitting with the character and saying like, okay, thank you for being there. I'm very, I guess, spiritual in that sense where I'm like, okay, thank you. You did your part. I did my part. Time to let you go. It's kind of like a
Yeah.
real relationship at the end, but
No, yeah, it's true. I mean, with some of the actors that I have interviewed, some of them will have like their own specific techniques, to kind of close the character and then return to their real lives, let's say. for example, some of them will be creating like letters. They will actually write a letter to the character to kind of say goodbye to it. To kind of I mean, perhaps for some people that's a little bit of nonsense. But once you think about it, and once you know like a little bit about the whole process that an actor goes through, so they can prepare a character, and especially if it is like a challenging a role whenever you're playing like a very intense scenes or things like that. I mean, it's understandable that even though that you are playing it, that it's not real, that you are in a safe environment, but your body can't tell the difference. You know what I mean? So it's understandable whenever they are trying. I mean, whenever they try to do like this type of letters or this type of yeah, I would say yeah, like rituals. You know what I mean? So they can actually
Yeah,
release that and they can return to be the real you. Because I mean, I would assume that if you don't find like a proper way to say goodbye to the character, it might stick with you. And as I was saying before, and if something about it was kind of intense to you, I mean, at the end, you don't want those things to hit your personal life somehow.
yeah. For me, it's like if it works for you, it works for you. But I like thinking about character and me, we're not the same. So it's like you just tap into it in rehearsal. And even when I go home, I don't take it with me. It stays. It stays in rehearsal.
Mm.
Like I will go back and do the work at home, but I'm not physically in it. So I don't think I've ever had like super hard attachment where I'm like I'm struggling to get out of it.
Totally, totally. I like it. That's even like more badass. Just saying. And and tell me like if you were, let's say that if you were stranded on a desert island and could only bring three movies to watch for the rest of your life,
Oh my
what would
God.
they be? Let's light things up here a little bit.
Okay, let's see. I need to have Fifth Element on there. Luc Besson is my favorite director, so
Cool movie. Yeah, yeah.
I'll take. Ooh, no, I'll take Fifth Element, and then Django Unchained.
Oof. Okay.
I've watched that so many times. And then for the sake of, I don't know, they're like dark action movies. Not action, but maybe a rom com. I'll take The Proposal, maybe, or How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, kind of to keep it light. You know, that's,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So we have a little bit of a mix going on here, and I mean, it's understandable because you want to, since you're on a stranded on a desert island, you need a little bit of everything. Otherwise, you're gonna
A
be feeling
little
miserable.
comedy, a little.
Hmm. Okay. And if your life was turned right now into a movie, which actor would you want to play you and why?
And why? Uh, I'd say Alicia Vikander. I think she's great. I feel like I resonate with her every time I see her in a movie. I, I resonate with her. Um, Maybe because physically we're kind of the same. She also has a crazy life where she lived in London, but she's not from there, and I relate to that too. So maybe it's more like a personal thing than her acting abilities, which are incredible. Like she's amazing. But yeah, maybe her.
Mhm.
Be a
And
good.
and what would be the title for that film? How would you call it?
Um, I wouldn't know about my own life. Come back to me on that. I'll have an answer maybe later.
Sounds like a plan. And I'm curious. Like, well, you mentioned before, right, that food is a important part of your life, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So, which meal would describe
Yeah.
you?
Oui. I'd say either a curry or a pad thai. A lot of flavors going on, a lot of
Mm,
texture going on. It has layers, you know,
hmm
a little
You know,
spicy.
the first time I tried curry when I was in Germany. Ugh.
Curry
You
in
should.
Germany? That sounds awful.
I mean, it wasn't. It was interesting, to say the least.
Okay. Do you like curry now at least?
I got used to.
Okay, okay. But
That
not a
was the
favorite.
thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I will eat it, sure, but I mean, that was like the thing here, and I remember that well because here in Mexico we have a huge variety of foods, and depending on the city you go, they will have like their own typical dishes. So we have an incredible variety of food, right? So when I went to Germany and realized that it wasn't like that, that they have totally different thing, they have like their own thing. At first, it was
Yeah.
challenging for sure, but then you kind of get used to it. You kind of it's actually not that bad.
Yeah.
I remember like the first time I went to this kind of a reunion, to this dinner reunion, right, into a friend's house, and like 80% of the dishes, everything was with potatoes, and I was like, interesting.
Yeah,
But
we
then you
do.
get used to, but then you get used to it, and that
Yeah.
was interesting, how like having that, that opportunity to be able to learn from another culture due to their food, it's really
I
cool.
think it's the
So
fastest way to learn someone's culture. Sit with them over dinner, you know?
totally, totally,
Like,
yes. I mean, there were like a lot of things in which I was like, huh. At the same time, for example, with Christmas here in Mexico, when it's Christmas, we'll have this incredible, this huge banquet. We'll have everything on it from, I mean, you name it, right? I mean,
yeah.
the table would be full with food, right? And I was staying with a family, and on Christmas Eve, I remember I was expecting, this huge
Hmm.
and everything, right? And then once once I went home, and then I saw that there was this just soup. And it was just soup, and that was it. And I was like, "Are you
For
kidding me?"
that's all?
Yeah, I was
No,
like,
my family
really?
does a huge banquet for Christmas.
But here's the thing, and I didn't know that. So for the 24th, Christmas Eve, they will have like this soup. They will exchange a little bit of presents here and there, and by 12 at least, 12 a.m., everybody's asleep, right? So I was like a little bit depressed. I was like, "Come on." So it was anyway. It's the traditions, fine. But then on the 25th, then the whole family got together, the cousins, the uncles, or everybody got together,
Oh,
had this incredible that yeah, this feast basically, and I was like, "Oh, okay, so this is my thing now."
where in Germany were you?
It was in Bremen, so
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, my family does it like opposite. Like the 24th is the big. That's
interesting.
funny.
Uh
Yeah.
where where your family lives in Germany?
They're from Munich. Yeah.
Interesting. You know, it's like I remember when I was there that they were telling me that people from the south, and yeah, like people from the south are weird, right? And when I was in the south, they were telling me no, people from the north are
People
weird. I
from the
was
north.
like, interesting,
I think that happens everywhere, even in the States.
everywhere.
Like if you go south, they're like, yeah, the people from the or like East Coast, West Coast, they're like they're weird. That's just every country has
Just the
their
way it
own.
is, yeah. But to be honest, yeah, people in the north, they're a little bit more cold than people
Yeah.
from the south. They
Yeah.
are super cold, and it took me a while to actually have some friends, but
Hmm.
uh, but yeah, it was a cool experience. So
Very nice.
yeah, and moving on here and getting back on discovering why you're super badass, right? Tell me, many actors have like a dream role that they aspire, to play someday. What's yours? And what about that character? Yeah, and what about that character speaks to you?
I don't know if I have a dream role, to be honest. I just wanna do everything. I wanna do all the complex characters. I want to play villains. I want to play the rom com, So I don't know if I have like a specific one that I can choose. But I'd say to your question that I would love to play in an action movie. That's been always my thing since I'm a kid. I just yeah, want to be super badass. There you go, for once.
Okay, okay. So we're talking that at some point, who knows, maybe you will get your own action figure.
Maybe.
That would be cool.
That'd be
Just
super cool.
yeah, just if that ever happens to you, just please if you can sign one for me, so I can put it on my
Send
collection and
it
be
up.
like, Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. I love it. I love it. And in the age of streaming platforms and binge watching,
hmm
what's your guilty pleasure TV show? Or yeah, that you could watch over and over and over again.
My binge watch, or I call them like non-think shows because I don't need to pay attention that much. I it's NCIS, with Gibbs in it in New York.
So
So
NCIS?
yeah, but the first one, because there's NCIS Miami, LA, something.
Hmm.
The first one, it's amazing. I watch it when I'm cooking, when I don't want to like watch anything that like requires too much energy or attention span. Yeah.
And acting often involves a lot of vulnerability and putting yourself out there. So how do you handle criticism and rejection in such a competitive industry?
Mm, that's true. I love criticism actually. It's what makes me better, what makes me work. Maybe that comes from when I was a dancer, because dance is also, a lot of criticism and very harsh criticism. But I've been lucky that most of my teachers and mentors have, it's always, it's more like feedback than criticism almost. Like it's a lesson to be learned. So I'm super grateful. And towards rejection, I have to say that I don't see it as rejection anymore. It used to be like, oh, now, okay, they didn't want me for this movie. Okay, now, and I stress over it. And I didn't really like the stress. I was like, okay, how can I view this differently? And then I just, when the rejection comes, I'm like, hey, it's not like they didn't like my acting, which could also be a possibility, but it's more in the sense I maybe didn't fit the profile. They maybe didn't even get to see my self tape. There's so many versions of why they didn't like give me the call back. So now it's just like, hey, I had fun auditioning me. They saw me, on to the next thing. And kind of like, I don't know, not cliche, but if it's meant to be, it will be. Let me know. I think it hurts less, I
Yeah.
guess.
I mean, it's inevitable, right? I mean, nobody likes being rejected, right?
It's so
And
many people in the industry, and it's more like, hey, if I didn't get it and you got it, good for you. Like, go do your best with the role. So,
yeah,
I don't
that
know.
is also that is also important to not be attached, to not be attached, to be like, if I didn't get it, fine, somebody else will, good for them, and I will just continue on my journey, and that's it.
Yeah. One of my mentors once told me that was one of the biggest lessons. Was um, go into the audition as if it is the job. So then you just create your character for those 5 minutes that you have. You put your heart into it, and then you're like, cool, I did it. So then you're not overthinking of is it a yes, is it a no, because you already did the job. So that helped me also a lot to be like, cool, just let it go.
Totally, and that is a healthy way of seeing things. Otherwise, if you get stuck to it, once you realize it's been already 5, 6 hours and you're still thinking over the same thing over and over, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it. And you were mentioning that you enjoy, that you take into consideration like the criticism and all of that. But I wonder, like, do you take into consideration all type of criticism or just the ones that you know that they come out of a place of love, let's say, of helping you?
Mm, I've learned to take all of them, and even if they are wrong, because some could be wrong, it's more a reflection that I do at home later. I'm like, okay, they said this. What is the truth? What can I find in it? Um, I think there's a lesson in everything. Even if the criticism comes off as harsh or mean, um, find the positive in it.
I mean, it's challenging for sure, and I mean, it's easier said than done. But at the end, I think it's the
Totally.
best way, to see things and not to get yourself being affected by mean comments or things like that. I think that is inevitable, right? Whenever you are putting yourself out there, either acting, music, or
Even if you're not
podcasting
an
and all that.
actor, even if you're not an actor, people will not like your work. if you're an artist. It's bound to happen. So I think for me, choosing to not put as much attention into that helps me
Mm,
do my work better
hmm.
because I'm overthinking.
There you go. That's like even more badass. I love it. And let's say that one day I call you and I tell you that I want to become an actor. Here's the
Okay.
thing, zero experience, nothing. So, based on what you know, what do you think that it would be a good place for me to start?
Hmm. Just do it. If it's community theater, if it's an acting class, if it's you and your friends, like, hey, let's do this play, just do it. And through that, you'll find out if you like it. And if you do like it, I'd suggest getting training. Like, of course, you don't need training. There's so many actors that never trained, but I think nowadays it's a really helpful tool.
I'll take it.
Yeah, but
I tell
just
you
do
what,
it.
if
Nike
ever
slow.
if I ever become an actor and if at some point I win something, I'll be mentioning you in my thank you speech. I tell you what, I will even bring you to it. So then I could say thanks to Kiara, I wouldn't be here. So
Yeah,
that
I
was a
did
good
it.
plan. There you go. I love it. And what career, like, has it ever happened to you, or like, have you ever thought about it? What have you, like, what career path you would have chosen if you haven't pursued acting?
Yeah, so many times because before I gave it my all um, towards being an actor, I like, oh, maybe I should do all the plan Bs that I have in mind. I didn't, obviously, but I was very interested in architecture or engineering, like road engineering for some reason. I was just very good at it always. And then my other thing was like translation. So when you translate in the government for like
Mhm.
politicians from like one language to another, it's like I'd love to do that someday, maybe. Still got
Or
time.
totally, or maybe at some point you will have the chance to portray an interpreter for a movie.
Even better.
That would be cool, right? And tell me, like, what motivates you? You know, we all have those days that basically we just want to quit, right? It's inevitable,
Yeah.
happens to all of us. So, what keeps you positive? Or like, what keeps you focused on a bad day, let's say?
What keeps me focused on a bad day? Mm, routine, working out, eating well. I feel like if everything else in my life is upside down and I still have that, that's like something that is like pushing me forward.
Mm.
And then after that, everything, all the pieces fall together. If everything is like already chaos and I'm not, and I'm just in bed not doing anything, kind of like objects in movement keep moving, you know. It's like, okay, maybe my life outside is chaos, but I'm in constant movement. I'm working and blah blah blah. So yeah, my habits get me in check.
Mm. Okay, I'll take it. That sounds yeah, that sounds even more badass. You're saying that's pretty cool. And my last question here, so we can all enjoy and relax after an interesting conversation on discovering why you're super badass. So here it is. What do you think that could be the best title for this episode?
Um, what did we say at the beginning? BFS, BFS, and fake it till you make it.
BFS and bake it till you make
Fake
it?
it, maybe. Or I don't know. Yeah. What was it? Bad food, sleep. Yeah, bad food, sleep.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about yeah, what about learn on BFS?
There you go.
Hmm? What do you think about that?
I'll take it.
We have a title. I love it. And I mean, at the end, what can I say? You know, the fact that you're doing it, yeah, the fact that you're doing it, I mean, that is already super badass because we all know that it's challenging. Not everybody, yeah, it's not meant for everyone. It can be super challenging, but you're making it happen. You are showing it. I mean, basically, you move to one country to another, totally different culture and everything, and you're doing it. I think that is incredible, super badass, and also it shows that everything's possible. You know, that at the end, it doesn't matter where you're from or what's your language and or like all of that. If you have a dream, if you have something you want to pursue, it is possible, and we have people like you who are showing us that. So
Yeah, it is. It is a lot of work though. So if you put in the work, everything will come to you.
there you go. So I want to thank you so much for making this happen. I also want to thank those who stay the whole episode. Let us know what you think in the comments below. But also, on the description below, you're going to find all of Kiara's social media. And because we now discover why she's super badass, let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Kiara. And again, thank you for making this happen. Keep shining out there. Keep rocking. Keep being super badass. And I'll be seeing you in the next one.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dan.
Absolutely.